حضورنا الكريم، دعونا نتخيل عالماً يمكن فيه للذكاء الاصطناعي أن يحسن من حياتنا اليومية، داعماً للتعليم ومعززاً للرعاية الصحية. كيف يمكن للتقنيات إذن الذكية أن تصبح قوة للخير؟ وكيف نضمن أن يكون الابتكار التقني موجهاً لخدمة الإنسان والمجتمع مع الالتزام بالطبع بالمسؤولية والأخلاق؟ لإلقاء ضوء على هذا الموضوع يسرنا دعوتكم إلى هذه الجلسة النقاشية المقبلة تحت عنوان الذكاء الاصطناعي من أجل الإنسانية، تسخير الذكاء الاصطناعي لتحقيق تأثير اجتماعي إيجابي. ينضم إلينا عن بعد في هذه الجلسة سعادة الدكتور محمد الكويتي، رئيس مجلس الأمن السيبراني لحكومة دولة الإمارات. ويسرنا أن ندعو إلى المنصة ضيوفنا الكرام مشكورين، وهم الدكتورة ابتسام مزروعي، الرئيس التنفيذي ومؤسس شركة UAE، أيضا السيد هيو هير، بروفيسور MIT أو ميت ميديا لاب، والمحاورة السيدة ألكسندرا توبليا. فنرحب بهم جميعا.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning and a warm welcome. My name is Alexandra Topalian, and it is a pleasure to be here at DIPMF and moderating this panel on AI for humanity, how it is reshaping how we function, how decisions are being made, and the incredible power that AI holds for positive social impact. But with that power, of course, comes responsibility. Our ethics are being tested, they're being questioned daily, and trust and transparency consistently emerge as central concerns. So we are going to dive into the full potential of AI and how best to harness it and to optimize it for good. I'm delighted to be joined by three panelists whose expertise reflect this very conversation: cybersecurity leadership, AI governance, and human-centered innovation at the frontier of science. Please join me in welcoming His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Al Kuwaiti, the head of the UAE Government Cybersecurity Council, who is joining us virtually today. Dr. Ebtesam Al Mazrouei, the CEO and founder of AIE3, Executive Director of OAIT for the Abu Dhabi Department of Finance, and Chairperson for the UN's AI for Good, and Mr. Hugh Herr, Professor at MIT Media Lab. So once again, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on our stage today at DIPMF. Let us begin with Dr. Al Kuwaiti, who will be joining us virtually on this platform today. All right. Of course, we are testing our connections with Dr. Al Kuwaiti. So perhaps we shall begin with you, Dr. Ebtesam, until we get Dr. Al Kuwaiti online. Dr. Ebtesam, you're widely recognized for your leadership in AI governance, and you're driving efforts globally to advance high-impact AI innovation. You're serving as chairperson for the United Nations AI for Good Impact Initiative. So let's address AI for good. How do governments and industry alike ensure that AI systems are intentionally designed to deliver real social value for society, particularly in healthcare, in public services, and in education, say?
Thank you for having me today, and we are delighted, and I am honored to be with you today to discuss how we can ensure that governments and industries design AI-centric solution to ensure the best societal value and the impact that we are aiming for. To your question, AI for good, when we are saying this or stating that, it's a very, very broad statement, but let me bring it to you personally. Maybe most of you remember decades ago, We used to commute to the center. We would like to renew our license. We would like to make a payment. We can schedule appointments, and there is a queue, and there is a waiting line. What UAE government did, and the UAE leadership saw at that time, decades ago, they want to bring all public services to your place. We want to reduce the time of the commute. How we can ensure that the advancement in the technology, in the digital infrastructure, can bring value to you as a person, as a people. So it's not a matter of what is the best technology, and we have today an AI or quantum computing technology or crypto technology or blockchain, let's use it. It's about the impact that it will create for that societal challenge and societal need, and how we can ensure that we design the systems that can cater people needs and services. So it is around always the first question that you need to ask, what is the impact that you would like to create? Then the second question, is AI or any other tool could be a solution. So it's not about a model deployment or we have the new Gen AI model, or nowadays we are using agentic AI model to automate the workflow. We need to understand the measurable impact that we need to create in the industry, in that specific sector, whether it is in healthcare, in educational services, or any public services. Then we need to recheck the workflow. If we automate a workflow as is, maybe it will elevate the frustration. So we need to understand what is the impact. Can I redesign the workflow, and how I can adapt today the best technology in a place to provide a human-centric solution. And this is how we operate here in the UAE government.
I have to say the examples you've just used in public services and getting our, something as simple as getting our IDs in such an easy and seamless way, comparing it to other places in the world that do not have this, this edge, is quite crucial and important to society as a whole. And this is how people will get convinced that AI is actually beneficial in so many ways. So that is absolutely a fantastic idea. But where would you see the biggest gaps nowadays between intention and execution? So organizations and industry that are still hesitant in implementing AI solutions to better their business.
I believe if we will shift from public services to business, there is different mind shift. But the most critical question, maybe in organization, there are KPIs. So still we are linking it to the impact that you want to create, maybe the return of investments that you are seeking for your organization or your industry. Then you ask yourself whether AI or any advanced model that today I will deploy, it will create the value and the impact that I need for that solution. For example, I can give you a very successful story as well in the healthcare. According to the WHO, more than 240,000 newborns each year died within the 28 days, the first 28 days. What Abu Dhabi government did, they led a genetic screening program, and lately has been announced in 2025 that can identify the early screening genetic that we can design it, and we can also cure it for the newborns. And since we deploy it from the first month, there were 3 successful also stories that we can tell. And this is a very good thing that we can use AI for healthcare services, or even for a precision medicine, for example, to cure or to come up with a new drug discovery that can cater a specific need that you are trying to solve.
That is
and to have as well.
That is innovation at its finest, and of course it is using AI and I believe big data analytics and machine learning to come to these decisions.
Indeed.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Ebtesam. Mr. Herr, Professor Herr, it's great to have you here today.
Pleasure to be here.
Time magazine has coined you the leader of the bionic age. Now, that's quite a title there.
Indeed.
You are heading the MIT Biomechatronics group. So biomechatronics, this is a new word in my repertoire, at least mine. Could you share some of your work at MIT and how you're using AI to eliminate human limitations? And of course, your personal journey, I'm sure, had a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start with my personal journey. And I was a mountain climber growing up. I started climbing mountains at the age of 7. And during my teenage years, I was very good at the sport. I was probably the top 5 in the United States in terms of climbing prowess. And then when I was 17, I was with a climbing partner and we were hit by a vicious storm. Long story short, I suffered frostbite to my legs and both legs were amputated. So now, today, I actually rely on bionics. I'm a professor at MIT, as you stated, and I co-direct the K. Lisa Yang Center for Bionics, a new bionics initiative at MIT. So what are we focused on? We're focused on developing tech that is worn on the body or is implanted inside the body, that augments physicality, augments cognition, social-emotional capability, and so on. So it's a very broad definition of bionics. It's not only just jumping higher and running faster. My lab in particular develops technologies that augment physicality. So these prostheses I'm wearing came from my lab. A key focus of our work is connecting the brain to wearable robots, both in terms of connecting to the skeleton and connecting to the nervous system. So the limbs that we develop, a person can think and volitionally, neurally control the robotic limbs, and remarkably can actually feel the limb movement as proprioception, and when they touch a surface as a cutaneous response. So we're fusing electromechanics with human biology in this beautiful way, so deeply that when you ask the person, what is your body, they include the mechatronics.
You've just mentioned that you are linking a communication channel between the brain and an artificial limb. That sounds very futuristic and highly ambitious. How does that happen? What technologies are you using? And AI, I'm sure, is part of your answer. Please, if you can elaborate for us.
Yeah, AI is absolutely a part of that interfacing work. So we design the entire pipeline. So we not only design mechatronics, but we design the human himself. So from the protein scale the whole way up to the organ scale, we adapt human physiology, so we enhance human-machine communications. So AI, for example, with my colleague Edward Boyden, we're trying to use light to control neural activity called optogenetics. This is a protein that's light sensitive that comes from a non-human source that we deliver with a viral vector. It triggers an immune response, so we're now designing new proteins using AI that are safe to use in humans. Okay. So many examples of how AI is changing the game within bionics.
Okay. Do you think the world is ready for psychologically and ethically for human enhancement at scale, at this scale?
It's interesting. If we project in the future, I predict that mid-century we will have interfaces to the brain with high fidelity down to individual cells, where we can input information in the brain and extract information and control thought, memory, mood, for example. We'll also, of course, have very sophisticated AI, perhaps machine consciousness. So at the nexus of neural interface and AI, there's tremendous opportunities. I think mid-century we will largely have eliminated human disability at that nexus. And we'll introduce telepresence and all this incredible capability. But oh, thank you.
Absolutely, this deserves Quite an applause.
But there's, you know, deep ethical concerns, of course.
Yes.
So we need to continually push policy in these areas.
And I'd like to
mitigate inappropriate uses of technology.
Yes, and I'd like to touch upon this discussion on ethics. Yes. Dr. Al Kuwaiti, can you hear me?
I can sure hear you. It's my pleasure and honor to be with you all.
It's fantastic to have you with us, Dr. Al Kuwaiti.
It's my pleasure and my apologies. I would love to be honored to have the meeting on the stage with everybody there. But again, pardon me and my apologies for not being able to be there. You know, the cyber and technological era, alhamdulillah, thanks God for that. It allows us to actually be wherever we want, whenever we want. So thank you very much for really organizing this great event and hearing those great information. As a matter of fact, it's really opening so many things and opportunities to us all as well.
Thank you, Dr. Al Kuwaiti. We are discussing AI for humanity. And of course, one of your main priorities as the head of the UAE Cybersecurity Council is to protect and safeguard this nation's digital infrastructure. So can you please tell us how the council is approaching it, not so much on a defensive function, but as an enabler of safe and trusted AI adoption across society?
Thank you very much for this important question. And I'm sure you've heard the importance of governing policies, procedures, legislations, and many of those roadmaps that we are actually focused on doing. As a matter of fact, National Cybersecurity Strategy focuses on those 5 pillars. The first one is the governance. We need those policies. We need those governance. Although technology surpasses those technologies or those policies, but at least we need to really make up for many of those aspects. The second pillar of our national cybersecurity strategy is actually building capabilities, the capacity building, technology, many of those things that we need in order to ensure and assure everybody that this technology is safe and secure. The third one is more into the innovation. UAE is known about that innovation because of those great 200 nationalities we have and more, because of those great startups, small and medium businesses, because of those great partnership. And that's the fourth pillar, as a matter of fact. Partnership, we cannot do many of those things without that partnership. Yes, we are missioned to defend and protect the nation, critical infrastructures, and many of the data that we are actually working on, be it private sector, government sector, public sector, and many of the people's data. But yet, our first line of defense is still the people, is still that human being who are actually really dealing with these technological aspects. And the fifth pillar is the mission that we are actually entitled on, which is to protect and defend. And that's where we share it with everybody in order to really defend and protect in that perspective. And going to AI, we have recently, with the Prime Minister office, had really the cabinet released the AI policy, and that's to really focus on the safe and secure use of such technology. We have so many compliance lists that allows us to actually really check, validate, and test many of those technological aspects, because by the end of the day, it's the safety and the prosperity of the people and the teams and the entities, and this is our goal, as a matter of fact, always. So having those compliance, we have more than maybe 7 or 8 policies, from the blockchain to the SOC to the cloud security, the sovereignty of data, many of the things that we actually really work in enhancing as we go, and stimulate the market and bring the market here with all of those great hyperscalers who are actually coming and really leveraging the accelerator in here in UAE. And that's exactly what we're doing. We are an enabler, we are an accelerator to innovate. This is how is many of our governance and policies. And it's like a test bed. We're trying to innovate in that sandbox, allow everybody to try everything within those compliance lists that we have.
Thank you.
Alhamdulillah, we've seen great innovative ideas. We're definitely continuing with you all to deal with those, again, from a project management as well aspects. That's what we are actually partnering with as well.
Thank you, Dr. Al Kuwaiti. And of course, with the increasing cyber threats and more sophisticated cyber attacks, from ransomware to phishing attacks to deepfakes, your role is definitely not easy. And many want to understand and have more transparency in order to trust and to have more confidence in AI. What is your position on that, on increasing the...
So definitely the importance of those cyber threats and will always continue to evolve. Many of those cyber threats, we categorize them in 3 types. One of them is the cyber crimes. And this includes the fraud, includes the scams, includes the deepfake, includes the ransomware, includes so many of those, you see it maybe in the social media, from bullying to actually really defamations, many of those related to those technological. What AI brought in this picture is, as a matter of fact, enlarging as well as accelerating the use of this technology in a negative way. And this what takes me to the second, as a matter of fact, threat, which we call it cyber terrorism. And nowadays we see technology is actually misused and used, not only from a misinformation and disinformation, and I'm sure you're following so many of those social media and happening here and there that are actually perpetrated against many of our friendly nations in that perspective, but also radicalization and really sending the wrong message into so many of different aspects that we see. And this is exactly what we are really in seek of, building that awareness, building the need of actually leveraging the technology in the right way. The last threat that we actually speak about, and I'm sure you're following many of the geopolitical aspects here and there, it's more into the cyber warfare. Warfare is no longer fought into those lands or physical spaces. It's moving towards that cyberspace, and this is where we definitely need to ensure those critical infrastructure that we have are secure, so that nobody could, God forbid, abuse them or misuse them or infect any of our essence of lives. Here we're talking about critical infrastructure of electricity, water, desalinations, energy, aviations. Many of those sectors nowadays depends on those technology.
Yes.
AI comes to really add great value to us, and we are securing that AI with the help of everybody, inshallah.
Well, it's great to see that you are securing AI in regards to cybersecurity. Dr. Ebtesam, let's talk about diversity and responsible AI leadership. So how important is it to have diverse leadership and local capacity building and ensuring that AI remains ethical?
This is a very critical question, and I will answer it by providing you an example. There was a technology that has been released in United States in 2024, and it will ensure that no one is parking in the bus lanes, and automatically it will give you fines. What has been identified that these fines has been mistakenly generated by the AI. And the main reason after the investigation was because this model or solution has been shipped and it has been deployed without any local context and let's say diverse leadership. And this brings me to the question that you asked, the importance of diverse leadership and local capacity building. The solution and the errors that has been generated by that solution, it was not a technological bug solution, it was a lack of diverse leadership. We need to ensure that we have diverse people that when we are deploying or even developing that solution, because you need to know the local context. In that specific solution, the absence of the local enforcement law, there are sometimes that it allow people to park in bus lanes. It was based on the local enforcement law. So the local context awareness should be also available in that, and hence capacity building is one of the main things to develop, because they are the one who will test, and also the local expertise, how we can ensure that when we are deploying such system, it's aligned to the policy, the security regulation that we have, and also bringing the tangible solution that we need to ensure. we always should remember it's not about, as I mentioned also earlier, it's not about an AI solution that we need to deploy. It's about a service and an outcome. And you can check also the NIST risk management framework that stated this beautifully, that you need to ensure that you need diverse people, especially when you are doing red teaming for testing the AI solution capability. So when you are deploying a solution, no need it is not a question that how many times you test that solution. It's a question about the diversity, and if you ensure that you have different capacity skills within that red team that he is doing that practice, because the more that you are doing these diverse leadership and capacity building skills that you in these tests, the more risk you can bring to the table, and in order for you to also to allow you to the management. So diverse leadership, capacity building, it's about risk management. It's not about how many times we need to do that solution in order for us to deploy it.
And local capacity building also ensures this inclusivity.
Exactly, inclusivity, and not also to mention the biasness and the fairness of that solution. So today when we speak about diverse leadership, because you have people that are expert about the local content, the societal impact, the policies that we have, the geopolitics that maybe the country or the relationship between different countries also in a place, the limitation of the hardware, and whether this solution will fit this project that we want to enroll or not.
So a lot of collaboration globally and locally as well.
Yes.
All right, we have a few minutes left on the timer. My final question to you, Professor Herr, AI as it begins to merge more directly with the human nervous system, what ethical guardrails do you believe are most urgently needed in this day and age?
Again, as I stated earlier, at the nexus of neural interface and AI, tremendous applications, but there are serious ethical concerns, of course. It doesn't take much of imagination to think about inappropriate and nefarious uses of technology. So we can imagine in the future, again, we'll have very sophisticated AI and we'll have brain interface. So I think we're all fairly comfortable with human thought being detected through the neural interface and directly commanding and forcing AI agents to perform computational or physical work. But I think we all hesitate tremendously, as we should, when we go in the reverse direction, where AI is commanding our bodies and our minds.
This is the question.
So we indeed need ethical guardrails. Data privacy and ownership is critically important, our brain, our neural data, and of course consent. Whenever there's information flow in and out of the brain, there has to be absolute consent from the individual when interacting with AI. But I remain hopeful and excited for the future. I think at that nexus of neural and AI, we will do incredible things as a society, like mitigate or eliminate human disability, and we have to have absolute obedience in the principle of maintaining human agency and individual freedoms.
Fantastic. Dr. Ebtesam, I'm sure you would also like to know the answer to this question. Can a bionic hand be stronger than a human hand one day in the future?
Absolutely, one day.
Oh, goodness.
Probably in 10 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a huge round of applause. Thank you so much, Dr. Al Kuwaiti, for joining us remotely. Thank you very much.
Thank
as
you.
well.